Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Video Game Collectors Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rose. This guy somewhere is Josh Byerly. He's the
I'm in
brains.
Matt's dungeon right now. So
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the brains. And then today we have a special guest, Tony, also Greenharegames,
Yep.
official sponsor of the podcast.
Barely. Barely. That's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
the arcade light, right? All of it.
Yeah. All of it.
PPV. You got
Yeah.
about 12 Instagrams, right, Tony?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, always pivoting in different directions, always trying to feel the pulse. But yes, yeah. Green hair Green Hair Games is probably the most stable my collection is on the Instagram Green Hair Games, and it's all birthed out of the fact that I run a lawn care business called Green Hair Lawn Care. And you know, I wasn't a huge Bucky O'Hare fan, but like he's the only green hair that I know. And so rocking stuff like this, it just feels like where I need to be. As I get older, maybe I just need to be the green hair. Who knows?
It checks out. I,
Yep.
I like it. So
Hmm.
It's in. So yeah, we're just gonna sit here and grill you for 2 hours. Um, might as well
or until
start.
my phone dies, right?
Yeah. Exactly what time were you born and what state was it in? And,
Yeah.
do you,
Yeah.
your first thoughts of life? We want to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all that stuff is up for debate, but I'm sure as it pertains to video games is where you'd like me to fast forward to, right?
Yeah. What's,
Yeah.
what's your first memories of video games?
Yeah.
How did your first life memories of video games? And then,
Yeah. Yeah. So my first memory was definitely Atari, probably 2600. I remember Mario Brothers, and I remember what I think was Battlezone. And kind of moves laterally on the screen, and the tanks approach you straight ahead. I think that's Battlezone. And shortly thereafter, I remember Super Mario, Black Box Mario, playing that at like my uncle's house or something like that. And then, all the systems. I bought PlayStation 1 the day it launched. So all the black box stuff. I bought this Ridge Racer off Josh, and he gave it to me at PRGE. I mean, I just love this game. We talked about Battle Arena Toshinden and just different games like that. I played Resident Evil in my basement. Was horrified. I probably was 15 years old, just like jump scares, just terrified. So I have a lot of video game like coming up through. I think as it intersected with like collectibles and like collecting, buying, selling, and stuff like that. My stepdad, who unfortunately passed away when he was like 39 years old, and I was 18 when he died. But when I was 12, he gave me all his sports cards, his old 70s sports cards, and he said, "Okay, these are worth $2,000, and now I'm going to take $2,000." He did and put it into this business. And him and I had like a permanent space at a flea market in an old mall. So we were in like a department store, like they had it sectioned into permanent little flea market sections. So at 12 years old, we took all those sports cards, sold them off, and started doing sport and non-sport. So this was like early 90s. So this was like the Beatles sets and like the Marvel sets and um, obscure ones like San Diego Zoo sets. So we would just rip packs and build sets and stuff like that. So like I had that with him. I'm sure he carried most of the weight there because I was 12, but that was like a memory that was you could imagine how like formative that is with like understanding values of things and understanding like how to buy, how to sell, and just how the whole system works. So I kind of put that down as I, started liking girls probably, and like as I got older, I went to college. I remember coming back from college and like playing with eBay for the first time, selling some of those old cards that he and I had together, just for a little bit of side cash in college, and then fast forward into my marriage. My wife had a resale furniture shop, and I used to go to auctions and estate sales for her to buy all kinds of stuff. And I was watching Auction Zip at the time. This is probably 2008-ish. I saw like an old arcade operator was doing an auction, and it was a bunch of arcade marquees, which I had never seen before, and a bunch of machines. And so I went there and bought like 200 or 300 arcade marquees for like $3 a pop, let's say.
Wow.
I loved them. I have such fond memories. We can backtrack into arcade because stuff I'll show you today for like my scores and things like that tie to arcade. But I loved all those arcade marquees, and I figured it'd probably be good to try to sell them in some way. So I started doing Comic Cons in my local area. And the problem with marquees was that I couldn't source them. I had to drive. The only collection I ever found was like halfway across the country in like Missouri. And so I knew I didn't have a steady supply, but I liked selling at the shows. I love Comic Cons. I've been to tons of them. And so I started to supplement it with a little bit of video games. And that's kind of what pushed me back into the space of like reacquiring stuff, learning about games. Look at this. You see the cat?
Who's that little guy?
My best friend. But yeah, so I started buying and selling. I started learning about some games that I never got to play. That's kind of what my journey's been, is like, aside from the time I get to spend playing with my kids, it's fun to just kind of like learn games that you didn't play growing up and stuff like that. Like Color a Dinosaur. I remember you talking in Clubhouse, Josh, about Color a Dinosaur. I don't know why I love it so much. It's a terrible game, but I just like the box art and stuff, and it's a game that just has significance to me, but I just haven't grabbed it. I didn't grab this one. I probably should have, but that's kind of fast forward you up to today. Yeah. Sealed games, I started in probably February of 2020. So right before it got crazy, early enough for me to buy like a gun knack for like $1,800. It was a 9.4A that I wish I didn't sell. But yeah, I've been following this market ever since, to the top of 2021, down, trying to anticipate when the bottom's going to be, swinging and missing sometimes, hitting it right, and all the way to here, where I am with you guys, just hanging out. So
kind of felt like 2023 was the bottom.
Yeah.
End of 2023.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I think the bottom, or whatever we want to call it, is it's very unique. It's more like this thing where certain things correct at a different time, and then other things do. So it's kind of this moving market. That's this game's doing this now, and then next month this game's doing that, and then something spikes, and then something pulls back a little. So I think we're out of like really low prices, but I also see certain things like ending today on Heritage that were a deal. So
yeah, I agree.
That performed better over the summer. Even a lot of the Pokemon stuff performed better over the summer. I did notice that. And then this auction, I think, was significantly down from the last auction. I think Hopper even
overall?
He put his little graph out there, and it looks like it's down. So
yeah, it is. I was thinking when I saw that, obviously we had the that estate sale collection pop at the last signature, so that would make sense why there'd be some juice there. And then before that, wasn't there a big Zelda in this auction?
Yeah, there was another big Zelda.
To pump up the numbers a little bit more. I didn't think that I don't know, maybe this 175 for Sculptor's Cut what was big, but it just felt like there were more like significant high titles in the last ones, but who knows?
Yeah, I think a game like Sculptor's Cut's got that flair for. It's got almost the internet lore, like Stadium Events being the rare title, the rare game, but it's just Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, right? It's like Stadium Events in that instance. Whereas you're talking about Castlevanias and Zeldas and Mega Man 1s, the first games of those games, those are always going to hold more significance monetarily and, speaking to the culture than anything like a sculptor's cut ever will. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
The thing I'm most like misprojected with this whole, it's been fun to learn like the economy of like this industry and stuff. It's fun, like to be at the top, to kind of stay in the game, start grabbing stuff at the right times and stuff like that. It's been great, but the one thing I didn't anticipate is I thought stuff would dry up more than it has. Like to see Smash Brothers 988 plus plus. There's two of them. The one that sold for 90 last time. I think this is the same one that sold for 50. I just didn't think that would ever come back to market. I don't know
sure.
why. I just expected monsters like that to never, when do they go into hands that they just sit for, 10 years? It hasn't seemed to happen as I would have expected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes sense. I don't know if any games from that era necessarily will, though. I genuinely think that there's inherent rarity of sealed games that exist prior to 1994. Right? I
Yeah.
do believe that. Like, I think that
Yeah.
when you get into the early 90s, or I mean, later 90s, like N64 era, there were already people collecting sealed games at that point.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
in the forefront of collectors' minds to go out and buy a game and keep it. You're talking like, I would say the cutoff would be when Player's Choice Super Nintendo happened. That's when you saw a total blow up of massive amounts of games, excess stock, being, I would say, at places like Toys R Us when the next generation console would come out. So
Yeah.
you see this excess amount of things, and then you see there's just more of this stuff being produced at that point. So I just think that when you go back, you see certain things that will dry up and not come around again.
Yeah.
And maybe chalk that up to younger generations buying certain things, but I don't know. It's interesting, right? Like I just think that there's more rarity in earlier games
Yeah.
on Nintendo games in particular, and Genesis. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there'll be more fines.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we got started, Matt and I talked. Matt saw some of the Whatnot stream that was pretty big, and you and I paid attention to the signature. You saw the Whatnot as well?
Yeah, I was watching it.
Okay. So I paid attention mainly to the signature. So you guys want to talk about either of those? It just happened. This is the end of the signature of November.
Yeah, the Whatnot stream was interesting. The guy had been kind of promoting it on Facebook there.
Yep.
What's the guy's name? Jeremiah McCready, wasn't that the dude?
That sounds right.
Posted? It was interesting. He looked like he was YouTube face for Whatnot, if that makes any sense. But he went out there and he was grinding and selling graded games, and I think he had 400 some listings in his store on Whatnot. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing.
It was a lot. It was a lot of games.
I gotta imagine a dude like that, he's out there just hustling it, but I gotta imagine there's some sort of protection there on certain things when you're selling.
Yeah.
So, and like any auction house, there's going to be places that do stuff like that. But I don't know. I thought it was an interesting take. There was a lot of modern Pokemon games in there, 3DS stuff, and it was selling pretty well. There was a lot of people in the stream, people buying things. It was successful. I thought stuff was selling for more than it did originally. It may have brought on Heritage or eBay.
Yeah.
So
there was consistently like 380 to 450, I think, at the kind of peakish.
That's great.
I was seeing, watching, and I was like, man, this is an insane sale, really.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know that Heritage, how many eyeballs they get. I think Signature gets a lot, but if we were to look at like eyeballs on like a weekly, for example, I don't know that they get that many. Maybe. I don't know.
I think they get Dylan's stream. That's
a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
How many's in Dylan's stream? There. 100?
Yeah, he got up to 100 in the Friday, I think. I think he got up to 100.
But that's
Maybe 200.
signature.
He might have got close to 200.
But
It was a lot. It was the most, I think.
but that's signature, like on a weekly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. 70,
Yeah.
50 to 90.
So to have 380 to 450 people watching
Yeah,
your auctions, I mean, there were things selling like solid amounts. I bid
that's
on a
great.
few things thinking, oh, maybe I'll get a deal on this. Not so much. And I was like,
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
the Halo 988 Plus sold
Yeah,
on there. Did you see that?
10K.
10K Exploded Hamster won that. We all know who that is. So
Yeah.
Well
I
done,
thought that
Wade.
was interesting. Yeah.
And that was still a deal, to be honest. I mean, I would never sell a 98 A plus first print black label for 10K. It was just, unless I was desperate, I guess, but
Yeah, my take on the Whatnot stream is like that might be one of the most effective ways of getting new and young people into this hobby, perhaps. Isn't it a younger man's game, what goes on Whatnot? I mean, not always, but
Yeah, I think maybe that might be our perception, but I think what it more than anything, it's going to play to the personality type. It's going to play to the brand, and I think social selling is really underrated. And in that regard, it's easy, it's fairly quick, but I think this guy was very planned out, and this was a very well orchestrated one. But in the sense of social selling in general, I think we're going to see more of it. And Heritage, if they wanted to be ahead of the game, they would try to do something with that sooner than later. The auction house is an antiquated way to sell things.
It makes them a lot of money, though. Right now, they're making a lot
sure
of money.
It does. It does. But
yeah,
that guy did pretty well today.
Good. That's great.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, it's good to hear, man.
I think it's just a new way of buying and selling, and I mean, maybe it's not completely new, but I think it's going to be a bigger thing. And I think we'll see more and more of that as other people adapt it. YouTube will have its own social selling thing at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The last one I watched was Josh Hamblin. I've been in and out of Whatnot. I wasn't crazy about the platform, but I did watch one of his before. It's a whole different world. It really is. It's neat. Yeah. You gotta do all your legwork. You gotta bring all your traffic on your own, the promotion machine. And anybody who promotes well, I'm sure can do really well on that platform.
Yeah. The Chase After the Right Price guy and his crew, they were selling some NES inserts and like game specific insert stuff. I hopped on the stream the other day when they were selling. The first item that came up was the Final Fantasy I controller overlay that was like do you know what I'm talking about?
Was that Nintendo Power?
It was a Nintendo Power mail away thing.
Yep.
Nobody knew what it was when they were selling it. He didn't know what it was.
I've never seen the Final Fantasy one. I've seen like the others.
I think they were part of the Nintendo Power giveaway, right, Matt? Like
it was like when you said that Nintendo Power just like rang in my head because
I'm pretty sure it was like 100. There was probably more, but something like 300 people got these if for getting third place or some shit. And or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where they came from, but they're rare. You never see them. And he threw one up in the listing there, and I won it for $20 because just didn't know what it was. I think Whatnot is a perfect opportunity for people to move inventory quick. Yeah. But if you don't know everything about stupid monotonous stuff like that, your stuff's going to slip through the cracks, and you can get deals on there. I mean, I bought a sealed Sonic and Knuckles on there for $400. Nice. Really nice copies. So it's all about timing with that, So, anyways, the signature though, it was a heck of a signature. Still millions of dollars. Pretty good. What were your thoughts on that, Tony?
So what I did, I've actually never done this before, but I went backwards from like the lowest price games that sold and all the way back there and said like, all right, what game would I have bought at that price? And so like, for example, like Double Dragon 2, VGA 85 plus. I don't know why that game's selling for $1,500. Like it was a big game. It's always been down. It's one of those Nintendo games I don't understand why it's so cheap. I would have took a shot at that if so. I got a big auction going off on eBay on Monday, where you know I work a seasonal business, and in the winter you kind of like get your storehouse in order because work slows down, right? So like I'm doing one big auction on Monday, so I didn't really have any capital to buy into this heritage at all. Just to preface that, but these are games that I would grab, if the money was right. Color a Dinosaur for 1,200. It was a low, what, like an 80A maybe, something like
Yeah,
that.
that was a deal. I saw
Yeah,
that after it passed. So
yeah, yeah. Splatterhouse VGA 85 plus TurboGrafx. Is 1750. I thought that game was more special than that.
yeah, that's a good deal. Is it 85 plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cheap. I feel like that's a $5,000 game or so.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then you guys would know more about this, but the Exertainment Speed Racer combo of Super Nintendo, it was like a grail for years as a CIB, and then a bunch of sealed copies surfaced, perhaps, that kind of kept that price down
But
over the years.
yes and no. There's a little history on that game, but
I thought so.
what did it sell for? I guess is
2 grand. It was
oh
like a
that's cheap.
9.0 A plus plus maybe is a guess. I
Yeah.
don't, but it was above a 9.0.
Yes. So that's a good deal. All the sealed copies came out of Nintendo of America at their garage sale,
Okay.
and if I'm not mistaken, it was one individual who bought them all and then sold them.
Like
He
two
was in,
cases, like 2 cases or something. Well, I mean,
yeah,
12
something
copies
like that. And
is what it
before
feels
that,
like.
there were some cartridges. Maybe there was a CIB or two out there, and it was like the stadium events of
Yeah. Yeah.
of of Super
Okay.
Nintendo.
Yeah,
And
I got it.
in many ways, it still is. But
Yeah.
I think that the copies that we see out there are the sealed ones, so we have diluted perception of rarity as that
Yeah.
there's 20 sealed ones. And
Yeah.
so the guy who ended up buying them, if I recall, ended up being let go from Nintendo because he hopped on Digital Press, talked about this. Hey, I got
Yeah.
all these games and I'm going to sell them. And so he bought them at the Nintendo employee sale. They caught wind of it and he lost his job at Nintendo.
Wow.
But
Was he not legally allowed to buy those games from his own company?
Not supposed to
he
resell
was.
them.
You're not
No
supposed to
resell.
resell them. The
No
Nintendo
resell.
employee garage sale. Yeah,
I
yeah.
see.
So,
I see.
and so
Okay.
they slowly, I guess,
Trickled in.
trickled into the market of
Okay.
what we see
Got it.
today. And so most of them remain sealed over the
Yeah, that's
years.
crazy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so
Okay.
I'm sure the 990 A plus plus is a very nice copy and it
Yeah.
has a crunch or some shit.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep. Yeah, it's that was a shockingly low price. I haven't followed that game, but I knew that I knew a little bit of the story you're saying. All right, so Madden, I think it was a cardboard 7.5A, like Genesis 2K. I've I'd really like to have a Madden, so I've been kind of always tracking it, and that might be the lowest that a first, like a first Madden's going to go for. I don't know. 2K is nothing for something as historic as Madden, right?
Yeah. Was it a CGC or a WADA grade on the
I don't remember. I
yeah.
don't remember. I didn't write it down.
Uh,
I can't remember.
I think that's pretty low actually for that.
Yeah, yeah. Tony Hawk 96A 2K.
PS
That
PS1.
felt like a good buy. PS1.
Ooh.
That felt like a good buy.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Although,
though I didn't have money to spend, it was hard. I almost pulled the trigger on that one.
what
That
did
was a
what did the 98 A plus plus just go for on Golden?
golden.
17,000 and it was on certified link.
Certified link. Okay.
Yeah.
17K.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Final Fantasy 9 2A for 3K standard. I'm surprised that game's not worth more. I don't understand why Final Fantasy has been dragging along. It seems like a special game, but
92A.
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fair for what the market's been doing on it. But it's just more of a comment on that game in particular. When you start getting up into the higher stuff, so it was generally agreed upon that Castlevania Symphony in the Night 96A plus plus sold for $4,800. That was a good buy.
Yeah.
That's That's a pretty low sale for that game. That's a pretty special. Yeah, that's good. Excitebike 96 A plus oval seal. How do you guys feel about 6,800 for a game like that?
I think that's strong, personally.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because of the variant,
Yeah.
but
Do you think
I'm also very biased on late print black box Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But
And that's what I was going to say. You guys have been around the hobby much longer. And so the oval seal stuff probably felt cheap to you at some point,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, you'd be happy to pick up a hang tab in
Yes.
worse condition than a mint
Yes.
later print. Like that's
Yeah.
why the oval Mario's
Yes.
were never appealing to me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
So me entering in 2020, I was happy to take all the ovals I could get on these
yeah.
monsters.
Yeah.
See,
Matt, you
that's
were
where
just
we were wrong
Yeah.
in many
yeah,
ways
yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's
because
crazy.
we're snobby bitch collectors that
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
turn
selling
our
off.
nose up to stuff like that.
I was even selling off Circle CO Rev A black boxes, and I'm looking back, I'm like, what were you doing?
Wow. Wow.
Sealed, 9.0 or better, and I'm like,
Wow.
what? What? I don't have any now, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
never. All right,
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah,
smart.
that gets to one of the things when I came to Portland Retro Gaming to see you guys, we talked a little bit about the pros and cons of this hobby that we're super passionate about. And certainly one, it's more of like you have to endure, but you really got to learn how to take some bullets in this game. I know you guys have, I mean, you're just talking about bullets that are far more significant than I've ever taken to sell 9.0 and up, round seal black box stuff for probably what you had to let it go. So you guys have to be super resilient. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that it's weathered you to take some of those bullets from being in this hobby for so long, or do you feel like you've learned how to cope with it better as you've gotten through this?
They're not really bullets to me because, like, I'm sure Josh can relate to this. Like, anytime I sell a game, I'm typically selling it at a profit. So,
Sure.
those black boxes, like picked them up for, like, I remember I picked up a sealed Hogan's Alley Circle Seal. I don't even know if it was Rev A for like 150 bucks. And it graded like a 9.0 A plus or 9.2 A plus. And back then, Wada was new. We didn't know if that was good or not or bad or whatever. And I ended up selling it for like $1,500.
Seems
So
like a win.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's a win at the time. And then now, it's probably
yeah,
worth a lot more. And I would actually just want to have it in my collection, knowing that, hey,
Mhm.
that was a pretty solid grade. I should have
Yeah.
not done that.
Yeah. Right.
But so it's like a bullet in a way of, oh, I could have, made more, I guess is the way to look at it. But I was selling it to get money for whatever at the time, and I got a win, and the person who bought it got a win. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, maybe a
Yeah.
slight regret. Only regret I can think about is like a Contra selling that because it had a little bit of mold on the back.
Yeah.
Just a tiny little bit.
no regrets on mold, Matt. No
Yeah, but
regrets.
it was Contra and it was sealed, and I almost don't even care because I sold it for 800 bucks.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
I bought it for like 600 or 700, and it's like, but it was
Yeah.
mold, and it was because and for people watching, it got the mold because of me. It wasn't molded when I got it. I had it
Oh.
in a one of those like Costco safes,
Yeah.
bolted down in my parents' garage, and there was no key or anything in there. And I didn't realize at the time that VGA cases, at the bottom, aren't glued on the back so that
Yeah.
they can breathe because,
Yeah.
cased games need to breathe. And if you
Yes.
didn't know that, there you go.
Yeah.
And so it was got moisture in there, and the moisture got in that, and then it started molding right where that air slit is on the game inside. So,
Mm. Disadvantage of living in a town called Seaside
oh yeah, we
is that
humidity,
everything's damp.
moisture. Metal rusts really fast. Yeah.
Oh, it's the Northwest. It's all real damp up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Before you answer that question, Josh, about taking bullets, we're obviously going to talk about all the great things about this hobby too. There's so much cool stuff that, keeps us in this space. But go ahead,
I
Josh.
I think it's part of that, right? Like taking the lumps and rolling with it, and that's okay. I mean, I've definitely made a lot of money. I've also
Yeah,
lost a lot of money, and
yeah.
you just have to keep perspective on it, because a lot of it comes down to, can I get this item again? And
Hmm.
if
Yep.
it's yes, which it's 99% of the time, then I'm okay selling it if the price
Yeah,
is right.
yeah.
And sometimes you just sell stuff because you're done with it, and that's okay too. So if you lose a little money, you lose a little money. Just move on
Hmm.
to the next one.
Yeah,
So
man. Yeah.
I got to just keep the positive perspective on it, because I don't dwell on the money that I don't have. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
or didn't make, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I mean, I've been self-employed for 18 years, and this is part of all of that world of running a lawn and landscape business for 18 years. And but I think some of the stuff that goes on in this business can be harder, mentally. And but let's talk about the great things about this hobby. Like, what do you guys love about generally about being in video games? Why are you in video games? You know,
He's flipping the interview around on us
I
now.
see that. I
yeah,
see what he's
yeah,
doing here.
yeah,
I Tony, honestly, it's to sound cliche. It's to hang out with cool dudes and talk about video games. It is the community. That's what
yeah.
really brought a lot of people together, was places like Digital Press or Atari Age back in the early
Hmm.
2000s, even the
Hmm.
late 90s, right? And then on to Nintendo Age, NES World for that matter. But seeing that you're not the only crazy person that likes this shit is a reward in itself, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
Um, Coming to terms with the idea that video games are a collectible and not just a utilitarian gaming item, that's a nice thing that you can play these things. But getting to this point where games are collectible and it's considered a collectible is exciting to me. Having more people view this as a
yeah,
collectible will
yeah,
be is a very cool thing to me, because I
yeah,
view it as one. I collect more than I game, and when I game, it's with my kids what they want to play, not
yeah.
Sonic the
Same
Hedgehog
here.
1.
Yeah, same here.
So,
Yeah, a lot of first party
so
Mario, and yeah,
yeah,
all
to me, it's all the community
yeah,
based, and well, not just that, but it's also the discovery and learning and
yeah,
understanding why certain things exist versus why they don't.
yeah,
Understanding the inherent rarity in it as a collectible is fun. Disassociating myself with people who are assholes is also a great thing.
yeah.
So
You're beautiful at that. You're beautiful at
yeah,
that.
because I don't care. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It's good that you have like one less filter in your brain that allows you to say things that a lot of people are probably thinking that are alongside
Maybe
you.
that's a dangerous thing.
That's
Yeah,
So
why they
yeah,
watch the show right
yeah,
there.
yeah. It has its negatives, I'm sure. I'm
Is
sure there's
Josh gonna snap this episode? We'll see. That'll be the title. Will Josh snap finally?
it depends. Well, no, you what that usually correlates with is how things and people are being treated within
yeah.
community that we exist in. So when that goes in a negative way, that
Oh,
gets
it's
my fire. That lights my fire, right? It
mm,
bothers me when people are being treated poorly, being
yeah,
taken advantage of, and I don't jive with that, and that's why I'm happy to tell people
yeah,
what I feel. So um,
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. What about you, Matt?
Um, I'm good. I was born in Astoria, Oregon, 1978. Oh,
Yeah.
what is there something else you want to know?
Why video games, brother?
He didn't.
Why do you have a wall of acrylic behind you?
As you two were talking about that, actually, I thought about it, and I went back in like 2004 to collect some games that I kind of wanted to have back in my collection that I loved as a kid. But Nintendo Age really brought me into collecting. It's what introduced me to Josh, and then we became
Yeah,
friends, and we've been friends ever since.
yeah,
And I wouldn't be in collecting at all if it weren't for actually even more than Nintendo Age, Joan Bone posting. I was just looking for a Mega Man, and Joan Bone was posting something on Nintendo Age apparently. And so when I was Google searching it back then, it pulled up Nintendo Age. I clicked there and I'm like, dude, this guy's selling he just bought some CIB collection and he's selling all these games, but he had Mega Man. And I was like, oh, I want to buy that. And then I got hooked. I was just like, what's this Nintendo Age thing? What's all this? And so it was Nintendo Age that kind of formed me into a collector. I think my personality, I
Yeah.
probably would have gone there anyway, but the community was
Yeah.
so great back, especially back then. They were so tight, they were nice, they were accepting, they had cool stuff. It felt like this, like cool, it just felt like a cool group. There were deals to be had, and you learned a lot. You could ask questions and people would answer and let you know. And that's why I was collecting. And then it just
Yeah.
grew from there. It became a passion of mine. And
That's neat.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I remember one of Matt's first posts on Nintendo Age, and I was like, "Oh, this dude's from Oregon." I'm like, "Oh, cool, right?" Because you
Yeah.
were able to put where you were from in there, and it was his. I think your mom found a Game Boy at an estate sale that she
Yeah.
was putting together. Matt, isn't that correct?
Yeah. My mom used to do estate sales. And actually, Tony, like you were saying, um, I just learned values because she's
Yeah.
done those forever. I just learned values and
Yeah.
how to buy and sell and just spot things and things like
Yeah.
that. But she's a crazy cleaner. So she was literally, how sometimes in a closet there's attic access above a closet,
Yeah.
a lot of times in some older houses. She removed the attic access above the closet, above that top like rod, and was like cleaning up above in there. And there was a package, and she pulled it
Oh,
down, and it was still a sealed Game Boy. That it was just,
oh, that's a
one
great
of those
story.
Christmas gifts. It was never.
Oh, that's a great story. Oh,
Uh,
that's
it,
so cool.
yeah, it was like what, second release? Well, not a
Yeah, it
second
was like the
box.
pink box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
sticker variant. And I
Yeah.
got it graded with VGA at the time. It came out of 90. And
Oh,
yeah, and I was just like clueless. And then actually that led into I ended up listing on eBay for sale, and it was one of the first purchases that Omar ever made.
okay.
And Omar literally sent me a list
I
of, hey,
remember that.
do you have any of this stuff? And it was just like this huge long list. And I was like, I don't have any. And then he just went on this buying spree that had never been seen other than maybe Braveheart at the time, earlier on. But prices from there was like not like a 2021 level, but I swear things went 10x on a lot of stuff.
I don't
That's
know,
awesome.
Matt. Some of it went pretty stupid.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
some went more, but yeah, sorry for the long tangent, but
And then that's
no,
good. Good.
it's a good tangent. The Omar, what did you sell the Game Boy for?
you know what's hilarious about that too? I had the Game Boy listed at, I think I had it listed at $3,000. I was just like, let's just see if anybody will bite. And I got impatient. Literally the day I moved it down to 1,500 is the day he spotted it and he started buying. And he said, man, thanks for the great deal. And I'm just like, oh
Oh, man,
no. I was like hours away from him buying,
thousand
guaranteed
dollars on the table
at
left.
at
Hmm.
$3,000. He wouldn't have even flinched.
But maybe he was watching it at 3,000. You
No,
lowered
he
it,
he he
bought
hadn't
it,
seen it.
and
He
you
had,
were the catalyst, the reason why the Omar exists. Now, if we could get one guest on this show, one guest that I would just die for, it would be Omar.
Omar.
I'd
That
be
I want
listening.
Omar.
I'd be listening.
I'd like to see his perspective. He probably remembers that
Here's the
purchase.
His
pitch.
game, he has a, all things considered, regardless of what people, if he was taken advantage of in some instances, that guy has an insane collection.
Yeah. Here's the pitch. So here's the pitch. I'm probably not the first person to tell you guys this, but you've got a book on your hands. I mean, the history of all this and all the different people, and all you got to do is say, Omar, listen, chapter 4 of the book is just entitled Omar. Come on the show. You get your own chapter of the book.
We're going to call it Omar's Coming. The
Omar's
sequel to
coming.
The Wire. something.
That is what she said. That is
It-
what she said.
He was
All
one of
right.
those few people that
That's what she said.
he single-handedly changed video game collecting for at least a year.
Yeah, I know very little. I know very little about him. I mean, I know of the whales that, had insane collections. I've met a few of them here and there along the way. But I don't know much about Omar because I guess he went away. Like nobody communicates with him much or something like that. Is
Yeah,
that
so
it?
they say.
Okay. Yeah, so that would make sense why I don't know a ton about him, but
Yeah,
um
nobody really knows. People know the enigma,
yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But beyond
All right.
that, he existed for a short period of time. I would say it was from 2012, that winter, that January or December 2011. Does that sound right, Matt? To
And yeah,
maybe
it was like 11. It must have been 11.
11 to midway through like summer of 2012,
Yeah,
and then he was.
it was like a 7 month run, 8 month run, and then it was just like gone. And
Yeah.
video game prices were just kind of sitting up and they had to slowly come
So
down.
he
And
just
no,
bought, so he was just
everybody, well,
he,
everybody got all their VGA stuff back that they were trying to sell to Omar, and it said on eBay like $40,000 for a 10 game pack.
wow. So he was just like he was the single most active buyer to take over a market in the whole time you've been doing this. Is that what you're telling me for that period?
So
I would say he's not the single, but he was the biggest,
Wow. Yeah, I'd
and
love to hear it all.
it came out of nowhere,
Cool.
literally just left field, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden he's got a list and he's buying.
Yeah.
And if it, it was disappointing because people did take advantage of it, and unfortunately he didn't listen. And in any market, there are instances where I dare say a whale shows up and everybody's
Yeah.
got their harpoons out, right? Like
Yeah, I understand.
they're going whaling. So there was some really shitty things that he ended up purchasing for too much money. And
But he probably
unfortunately,
still has it all, right? He still has it all, and he probably bought super well in today's day and age, right? Or you're saying he got beat so bad back then that
some were
I think there was some that were pretty bad that I don't think
okay.
he would recover from even in 2021. I mean,
That's
maybe if he hit that July signature, he may have got his money back. But
well, that sucks. I'm
but
sorry, Omar, for that.
but yeah, I'm sorry for many people that end up losing money. But a lot of it comes down to, I'm not saying Omar had this, but a lot of it comes down to ego and the unwillingness to listen to sound advice when people are
Yeah.
willing to give it. And that's okay because not everybody's smart. So I don't know what to
Yeah.
say. If you want to get in and drink the Kool-Aid and toss a few back and go to town bidding on stuff, do it. But
Yeah, I mean, you have to be a chameleon in finding where the pockets are that you have an opportunity to buy something well. It's constant change. And
and
you have to be smart on your own without anybody else's advice. Like it's a
yeah,
hard thing to do.
I think that's
Always
true.
buy well, And that's what
You-
it is, I guess. But
I think if you insert yourself into any new collectible,
mhm.
there are going to be good people, and it's not going to be that hard to find,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You just take good advice from people.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a
And
good segue.
that advice isn't necessarily an auction house, right? I'm not
Okay.
trying to throw an auction house under the bus,
Yeah.
but they're going to capitalize
Oh
on that.
yeah.
That's what they can. So
Oh yeah.
do some research. If you're new to video game collecting in general, you don't have to buy graded games. It's a cool facet of game collecting, but you don't have to do it. Just try something new. Try something that you love, and dip your toes in. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So this is like a good segue for me to talk about like what I love about it because it kind of speaks to some of the stuff you're talking about, and it's that I was self-employed. Neither of my parents really went to college, and like I went to college, did well in college, played sports in college. I didn't come from much, perhaps, is how you could say it. But like when I went on to, go into business for myself, like I didn't have anybody that I could ask advice for or from. There just wasn't anybody else that was kind of walking the path that I was. And when I kind of found this little community that you guys are speaking in, even though I only really started connecting with people in like 2020 with that app with Dan Kaplan. I met him on there.
Yeah, the Clubhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I had never really met guys that I had respect for, because I know how hard it is to navigate the space of buying and selling collectibles, and just trying to, it can occupy your mind all the time. And it often does for all of us, probably at
Oh
times.
yeah.
We're thinking about stuff. I mean, so like it's a heavy burden to bear, but like I just it was neat to see that you couldn't navigate yourself in this world without having some integrity with how you do business, like with Facebook groups, and just like building relationships with people. And that's a good thing to be the top of what matters in this space. Is like, you guys all, for the most part, really are. I mean, you do stuff for each other all the time. You take bullets financially to help other people out. Like, it's just part of what you guys do. And so I was drawn to that. That's one of the reasons I came out to hang out with you guys. Is because it was obvious that you guys were pretty solid dudes. Does that make sense?
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, that's nice of you to say. I think that does exist in a lot of hobbies too, right? Not just here, and it can be trying to figure that out at times. And usually there's no need to name people, but the people weed themselves out. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but ultimately,
if
surfaces, man.
If you put money at the top, you're gonna make some bad decisions. You talk about the other hobbies, that the same stuff there. I'm sure it is, but like there's a. I grew up in sports cards, but I really don't like sports cards. It's a gambling aspect to it.
The key differences of it is the sports cards you grew up in, and a lot of people that have grown up in it, is they were manufactured to be a collectible thing that could trade hands, and somebody could buy something and get it and then try to sell it for more to the next person. It was best gambling you could do as a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that it has this intrinsic thing behind it, that it's a manufactured collectible on purpose for dealers in general. Video games aren't. They are pure as shit. And I mean, there's other stuff like that. There's. I mean, we see it more now. What's that, Matt?
Were comic books really meant to be collected and traded?
No.
Yeah. So similar thing there.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would agree, but now we live in an age where they are, right? And that's when grading comes into play. Like, now games are meant to be collected, and condition matters, and all this shit. And that happens with comics, but I would say that even furthermore, that places like limited run games and super rare, you're wearing the t-shirt there, Tony, and these places are making games to be collectible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's actually that was like a half step that pulled me into sealed, was like super rare and limited run, like early on. I hadn't seen a model like that, and I was playing the Switch with my kids all the time, so it was neat to start grabbing these limited production titles. And so that's kind of what really got me back into collecting in some ways.
Yeah, it's appealing, right? They only made 400 of this. Go get it.
Yeah, it was what started me back into the game a little bit, but the other things I love about video games is like it's an interactive collectible. I have people. I mentioned my stepdad passed away, and he was a formative part of what this is, this hobby that I've chased. And I have games that I played with him, like Super Mario 64 and Might and Magic for Sega Genesis, that will always make me think of him in a positive way. So like there's just so much to. I mean, video games provided people that were in bad situations an escape. Video games provide people a way to connect with people they'd never speak to. It's just fun. So like how it manifests in like me having some decent success with building a small collection since 2020 is that really like keeping an eye on what the market's doing. It's like picking up the newspaper for me to, check and see what Heritage Auctions did, or to see what Golden did, or to see what Certified Link did. I just always love that. I haven't put that newspaper down. I always like to know what's going on, and it's a good way to stay in touch with what the market's doing. I, what was the website that was posting all the prices?
Gamer
Um,
stocks.
yeah, Gamer Stonks. Like, I wasn't quite to the point. Like, I was trying to watch so much that it seems like, Matt, you probably don't watch as much, but that Josh, you probably are a bit of an encyclopedia on what prices are doing, right? I mean, you watch most every auction, I would imagine.
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I do too. I
Even
mean,
even when I don't want to watch it, I end up
yeah,
watching.
it's just good to know. It's good to know what the market, but that comes very natural to me. I like that. I like that information. It's fun to see what things do. It's fun to see things pop off. I like celebrating when I know somebody just, hit a home run with something. It's cool. But that's what kind of keeps me around, is like I'm passionate about it. I like all those memories that I have associated with video games.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
I've actually got an interesting question for you, Tony, while we have you
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Because another fan was asking us about this and wanted me to grill Josh. So I have to ask you, how do you, I don't know if you ever played, did you play a lot of Nintendo games in general at all?
Me?
Yeah. Regular
Yes.
NES.
Yes, like in the era where the system was hugely popular,
Yeah.
yes. But
Okay.
there, yeah,
How do you feel about these two games specifically? Othello and Anticipation.
0 and -0.
Man.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got to
0
answer.
Fahrenheit and then 0 Celsius, whatever you want to
Jeez.
call
Ooh, negative. I get
it.
it.
No, I missed. Listen.
Sorry,
I don't
Brandon.
know how you guys. This is a reasonable, quick question, but like, what? I mean, you probably only had 10 or 15 games in your collection when you were a kid playing it, right? So
Five,
like, and your
maybe.
friends had games, so you learned through your friends. There was a lot of that, but like, I guess you just started accumulating knowledge on all the other games as you got older.
I had a
Um,
video rental store.
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Video rental store. You got did so it's just like a candy store going in.
yeah. You worked at a video store?
No. There's a local video store here, Universal Video.
The one you two?
They had the biggest game
Yeah,
selection for a
yeah.
small town, and you
That's
could just
awesome.
rent just about anything you wanted
That's
to
awesome.
play and
So
try.
how many Nintendo games do you think you played by the time the system was dead? Like in the catalog?
Kind of went
Like,
back to a lot of them. When you'd rent
yeah,
them, you'd kind of
yeah,
re-rent the ones you liked.
yeah,
So I wouldn't even be surprised if it was only like 50.
yeah. That's still a good amount. What about you,
Got it.
Josh?
Oh, I played a lot, man.
How? What was your setup to where you were just
Rental, I didn't have that many. I
rental?
mean, I would say
You
rental.
rented?
I had a friend whose parents would buy him like every game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And and
That's
when
awesome.
I turned 16, after I got my license, I drove home with my parents. The first place I went, I drove
Yes,
over to his house and
yes.
he gave me all of his Nintendo games.
Oh,
All of them.
that
Wow.
launched your career, dude. That launched
That was
your
it.
life. Yeah.
That was
Now you're
it.
like now you're like running to Bon Iver like on the open road, just putting in miles, and
That's it.
it all comes out of that.
God, man, I went and picked up. Okay, I got to tell you this little story. Yesterday, my wife, she started this little card business. It's a great thing. We can talk about that a little more. But
Yeah,
I went and I
yeah.
found a card
I'm right
stand.
here.
I found a card stand on Facebook Marketplace, and I drove out to like this place called Marcola. It's not that far from Eugene and Springfield. And in my mind, it's like you get off the freeway and you're in Marcola. And it's like, no, you get off the freeway and you drive 25 minutes and you're in Marcola.
Ugh.
And I'm driving out there yesterday. I'm like, man, I miss this. Getting out on the road, hunting video games. I'm like, man, I'm driving by these old buildings that look like they're almost falling over. I'm like, oh man, there's got to be stuff in these buildings that
Yeah,
people just don't know about.
yeah.
And
That's
oh
what it was
man,
back
it's
then.
such a
You guys did
rush.
a ton of that, right? You were
Yeah,
getting a ton of
man.
that back in the day. Yeah.
That was it. That's how I paid for college, man.
Yep.
I buy a rental store,
That's
keep the
awesome.
games I needed, and sell the rest.
Yep. Do you have any games from then? Do you have
From then.
do you have a game that you're holding in your possession that is from like that first
Yeah.
collection? That first collection you took from your
I
buddy?
yeah, I have a Bugs Bunny birthday
Nice.
blowout. Um,
Nice.
I think I have a Super Sprint and probably Mario 3 still from
Dude, you
that.
got to get that Mario 3 slabbed.
Yeah.
That's like prime. I mean, that was historic.
Yeah,
That's
but we
chapter one.
played
That's all
even
chapter one of the
back
book.
even back then when those games came out, we knew that Bugs Bunny birthday blowout felt a lot like Super Mario 3. If you've never played Bugs Bunny's birthday blowout, go play it. It feels like Mario 3 a little bit.
Nice.
Not gonna lie. And then like games I had as a kid, that I got, Bulls versus Blazers. I still have that, my original
Nice.
copy. That's
Nice.
like it for me. That's the number one game.
That's cool.
And Roadrunner Death Valley Rally, F
That
Zero.
was the Tengen one?
No, Super Nintendo.
Oh,
Like
Super Nintendo. Yeah, yeah.
these
Okay.
these key Super
Yeah.
Nintendo games that I
Yeah.
had as a kid. I still
Yeah.
have the original cartridge.
I got
A
you.
Link to the Past cartridge and a Super Metroid cartridge that
That's
I had as a
awesome.
kid. So outside of that, I sold everything else.
Yeah,
So
I don't have anything.
and then I rebought over the years, and then I sell and rebuy. It's just
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle, and
Yeah.
it's totally healthy and normal to sell your collection. If you're a collector and you're not a great collector, if you're a gamer and you're whatever, you don't think you're a collector, but you have a collection of stuff, it's 1,000% okay to sell your games and make money on it. If you
Yeah.
feel like you shouldn't be doing that, then that's your prerogative, I guess. But it's okay to sell
Yeah.
your stuff and make money.
Yeah.
And I hope people do.
Yeah, I can't, I don't think any of the three of us could just freely give up all the time that it takes to be in this hobby if we weren't, making money because our time is super valuable. You know what I mean? We're trying to justify the time we take away from our families by making money with it. Otherwise, if we're not, it's not worth
Yeah.
it.
And to kid about that is ridiculous. To pretend that it doesn't exist is ridiculous. These people
Yeah.
that say, "This is my hobby. I don't ever have to make money on it," and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's your
Yeah.
prerogative. Maybe you have this job that you come home and you just buy your
Yeah.
shit and like that. That's okay.
Yeah.
But to pretend that you're not taking your money, and I've said this to people before, and you're buying a game and making a massive wall of a collection and pretend that you're not parking your money in that collection somewhere where you could later extract
Yeah.
that money for something else is ludicrous in my mind that
Yeah.
you're not actually thinking that. I think you're full of shit, personally. So,
Yeah. I agree. And if they are thinking that, then it's a little bit idolatrous, like you can't take any of this stuff with you. I love I
no,
love
you're right.
I love looking at it. That's where I've kind of come to. I don't like displaying a ton. I don't have like this big gaudy collection or anything like that, but if it brings a smile to your day to see it, then it's definitely something that's fun to have around, especially if it's not going to lose money on you. So like I don't know. That's Yeah, it's fun. It's fun finding stuff. It's fun buying. It's so fun buying, but having the discipline to sell as well. It has to be both those things unless you're fortunate to have, a lot of extra income or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, we I think we finished the signature, right?
hmm
Is there anything you want to talk like, you know, I have a Tyson publicly going to auction currently. You had another Tyson that just went off. There was also two Tysons that sold in this auction, and they were beautifully
There were
priced.
three. There were
There
three
was
Tysons.
three.
Four,
Yes.
four, four,
Yeah.
four Tysons.
Four. Yeah. Yeah. Because there were a
There
couple
was
white
two
bulls.
yesterday, two
Yeah.
yesterdays, and two today. So
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see these prices, Matt?
No, not on the Tysons.
and
No,
they
I
were
mean,
so cheap. They were so
I
cheap.
have them. I have them here. So the Tyson 96A sold for $7,800.
96A is that
It's an
oval?
oval
Okay.
Oval. Oh yeah, these are all ovals.
that sold today. that sold
Yes,
today.
yes. Tyson 96 A plus plus, A plus plus, 11.8. So 12 grand.
That was oval as well.
That was oval as well. That is a beautiful price. I mean, I would have loved to time that one
Yeah,
because
that's
that's
good.
beautiful.
Good luck finding that grade again.
I
Yeah,
think we had a group chat, Matt. We were saying somebody brought it up in there that that's $100,000 game
it's a
a year
beautiful
ago,
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 years ago, whatever.
yeah, it's a beautiful game.
that 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 was a good buy for someone.
Yeah. Somebody spent 10K on eBay. Peter, is that his name? Overheat. He sold it like a
Hmm.
90A plus, I think, for 10 grand on eBay right before all this stuff popped too. So it's interesting. That's a lot of Tyson going off right
So
around.
how did the white bullets go today? The CIBs, how did those sell?
It was what, an 8.5 or an 8.0 or something like that?
There was an 8.5 with a 7.5 box, and
Yeah,
then
I
there
don't
was a
remember.
9.0 with an 8.5 box. CGC 9.0 with 8.5 box.
Okay. Well, there was one on the first day of signature too, wasn't there? A CIB?
Yeah, and that almost hit 10K.
Okay.
That was the
I don't
first
know
day
what these two
signature.
did. I don't know what these two did.
Okay. Well, that one sold for 10K yesterday. It was an 8.5 box, white bullets,
Beautiful.
CIB, a nice copy, right? That's a really nice copy, hard to get in high grade. The second one sold today, and it was a 8.5 overall, 9.4 cartridge, 8.5 manual, and 7.5 box. And I know that because it was my original personal copy from my collection that I sold to a collector in 2018.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I ended up buying that today.
How'd you know it was yours? How
bought
did
it.
you know it was yours? From the cert number or something? Or did he tell you that he's selling it?
He told me he sent it to Heritage for
That's
auction.
nice. So it was in his hands since
And so I bought
2018?
it. I bought it back.
What
Good.
did
Good.
you end up getting it for? Can we?
$1,500.
Oh wow.
That's beautiful. Oh, dude, congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
was
great
graded
buy.
in 2018. I
That's
felt
great.
like it was undergraded then, so I'm excited
Now,
to actually get it back. So
the $1,000 question. I mean, are you going to do anything with that, or is that just going to sit as is? You going to try to get stuff pressed or anything like that?
the manuals in 8.5, I personally, I feel like I know grading pretty well. I think it is undergraded. I think the box being a 7.5 is insane. So it's a perfect box. When I get it, we'll crack it out of the water holder.
Got
I'm
it.
going to show everybody on
Yeah,
camera.
nice.
This
Awesome.
is a very nice copy. So
That's neat.
I think I'm just going to keep it for my collection. The box
That's
should be a
good.
9.0,
Yeah, yeah,
100%. So
good. It's awesome.
yeah,
So the manual will probably bump as well to 9.
it's an A5 manual. The cartridge, though, I mean, this was like one of those games that I had, Matt, where you open it and it's like, oh my god, this is so mint inside, and some reason it was literally, I would say, like when WADA first launched in 2000, was it 2018? Yeah.
Yep.
It was like on one of my first orders or so that I sent in.
Nice. So it's got a real low number, right?
It did, yeah. It was like 573. It was after when they went away from the 0,000s.
That's
So
one of the coolest things about that to me, is that it has that low cert. I don't know if it'd be tough to crack. I mean, you have to change your cert when you resubmit, right?
no, well, here's the thing. It must have had a damaged holder because it has a new flow on the front where it's a green CIB, but
Okay.
it's got the old cert number on it, and none of the components were upgraded or regraded or anything like that. So it got a reholder at one point.
Okay. Cool. If you guys could go back in time and prepare yourself financially to have $7,500 available for this day, would you buy a GoldenEye 94A plus plus that sold for $7,500 at this auction?
Yeah, I didn't even know that sold. So
What about you, Matt?
If I had $7,500,
Yeah, if you knew this was coming and you had to have $7,500 for this day, you think you'd pull that money together by selling things or whatever to spend 7,500 on that grade on that game?
I mean, I want one, and sounds like a good price, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd go to the extreme that.
I think I would play the cert number game and ask when it was graded. So
Cool.
figure that out. Timeline.
Yeah.
I'm one of those persons who, I've graded since day one with them. I know where the ebbs and flows are in that grading time frame when they're tight and when they're loose. So if this is a tight 9.4 A++, I'm buying that.
And
I'm
go
cracking
down
and I'm
6.
regrading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I do regret that I didn't keep track of that information more because I certainly, having been grading for 4 years now or so,
but
there's definitely seasons to what's going on with these grading companies, and
yeah,
it's pretty,
absolutely. And I think you have to grade through the seasons to understand that,
yeah.
though.
That said, I love all the grading companies. Personally, I have never had a problem with any of them. Like I've submitted less to VGA because I felt like the website was less user friendly. That's what kind of threw me to WADA first in the beginning. And WADA was always good to me with how they did what they were doing and everything. Easy to work with. And then CGC came around and I love them too. I got to meet Kenneth. He's the head of authentication grading something CGC. I don't know what his title is, but he's a big
He's a director. He's a director.
yeah, he's a killer, man. He's a big time. I met him at PRGE and he was wonderful. So like I don't know. I hear people anytime anybody talks trash about these companies. I just know what it's like to own a business and operate and know how things can go wrong. And I think they're doing pretty good personally.
Yeah, I think that people are so fast to pass judgment and not give grace.
Yeah.
Right? Like you
Yeah.
have to in life, and that's just life. Everybody makes mistakes. There are going to be issues in any side of business you're in.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with those issues and how you prepare yourself and set yourself up for success in the future. So
Sure.
I think that addressing what is in front of them is important, but it's also the general public and people who grade understanding that these are people behind these companies and not just a corporation, right? There are people, this is their livelihood. They go to work every day.
And they see the stuff that you write. And they see the stuff you write. It makes their day a little bit worse. It does. It really does. Like when I hardly ever get complaints in the business that I'm in because I've been doing it so long. I know how to not hear it from customers. And but I also if a customer's nasty, it ruins my day, at least for some portion of it. So I just try not to say stuff pop off like that out there, especially on social media. They all see it probably, whatever. That's just kind of a tangent, but
no, I think you're right. I think it's warranted, right? Positivity typically wins out. So
So Matt, you said maybe not. GoldenEye's not. You don't think that's the bottom necessarily. You're not 100% sure, and
not so much about that. It's just for my personal. I mean, it is on my want list. Not at the top, but I don't know. I think.
Cool.
I mean, like Josh said, if it was graded in 2021, early 2022, and it was 9.4 A++, I mean, that'd be a good stab because a 9.6, I would love that for my collection.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going back to 2019, man. I'm like, okay, if this is graded in October of 2019, I'm buying it.
Oh, 100%. Like, almost that's a guaranteed, well, not guaranteed. I don't want to say that, but that's a pretty safe year to go with too.
There was a tightness when they moved to California as well. They tightened up. They tightened up big time then.
9.6 A+ was like the automatic go-to for anything.
Yeah, we weren't seeing A++ as much and all that.
Or A. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. I remember all that.
Yep. And they accepted that later and even admitted to it that we were a little bit harsh early on. And so, yeah.
Okay.
So spend another $50 and grade your game.
Okay. All right. So you guys have some form to how you run these podcasts. What do you want to do next? You want to show things that we've acquired recently?
Or comments, right, Matt?
Or comments.
Oh, yeah. We can do comments real quick because I think there's only 8 on the last video.
Oh, man. Good. Yeah, we haven't been around much, have we?
Let me, it was Dance Man. Lloyd.
I can't see. Oh, nice. There we are. Oh, there he is.
Look at that Atari collection back there.
Boy, that lottery cart, boy.
Who does this look like real fast right there?
Not Russell Crowe. not Russell Crowe.
People in the comments, if you're at this point and you can see Josh's face and the hat backwards, like immediately I'm going to Clerks.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. He reminds me. He's like a cross.
Kevin Smith is not one I got ever, but that's fine.
Well, it's the hat backwards, the hoodie.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes, it works.
I guess so. Okay.
Yeah, you're like a cross between Marty McFly and Dr. Emmett Brown, Josh. Like you're some hybrid of those two characters.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, your vanity plate was a good thing when I saw you rolling up with that NES vanity plate.
Oh man. Oh my god.
Who's this wizard popping out and like on a hoverboard?
I got a funny story for you. I'll send you a photo later and you'll like it, Tony. But I went to this little convention here in Eugene last week. It was called Collectapalooza, right? And some guy is obsessed with NES, but he doesn't have a bunch of Nintendo games, and he loves Mike Tyson's Punch Out. He decked out his car. He like did a custom car wrap, made it, and like the engine's all custom and everything. It looks like an NES, right?
That sounds amazing.
And so I was talking to him. I was like, "Oh man, I love your car," and his license plate says NES car on it. I go, "Oh man, your plate's great." I'm like, how come you didn't get NES? And he's like, "Oh, it wasn't available." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know, because it's on my truck out in the parking lot."
Oh, dude, you shamed him so badly.
He's like, "No way, man." He's like, "I gotta go get a photo of that." He was so fun.
You win. Yeah. You win, you old wizard. Yeah. All right. So
you want to read? Go for it.
Rad Workshop, or what do you want me to do? Mark Dixon.
Yeah.
Connections at game stores back in the day was so valuable as a collector. I worked at Game Crazy from 04 to 06 and got so much of my collection from trade-ins. And then when I left, I'd still get calls from employees asking if I want things.
Nice.
I worked at a video store, but it was like high school age. So I don't know. There wasn't a lot of video game stuff. It wasn't like a trade-in. It was like on the side of a grocery store, a nice grocery store.
What was the name of the video store you worked at?
Eagle Video. So Giant Eagle is a big grocery store chain in Pittsburgh. And it was IGGLE Video, Eagle Video.
Nice.
And it was a great gig. I felt like a prince.
Yeah, you got free movies, right?
Yeah, it was a new build. It was a new build grocery store in my hometown. So everybody was going to it, and it was the video store on the side of it that was corporate, and I had some good times.
Yeah, I worked at an indie store in college. It was my childhood video store, so
that's awesome.
I loved it. It was easily my favorite job ever.
That's cool. Cool.
Oh man. Yeah, I would say that having connections is a good thing. I absolutely had connections in video game stores. Going through college, and probably not in high school really, but in college definitely. Game Crazy guys, they wouldn't put out the trade-ins for the NES, and I would get those from them. I think one guy brought me a Clue Land complete in box one time, and a Chubby Cherub complete in box, and he had bought them outside of the store, and then he sold them to me. Did a quick flip, just nice. Leveling with these people and be like, hey, if somebody brings it in, you guys don't buy it, I'd be like, I'll buy it from you if you get it from them, right? So telling these people you'll deal with them and making friends with them was always a good thing to do. And there was another time when what was the store here? Is Big City Gaming, which used to be the guy that started worked at the one in town called Video Games Plus, but Big City Gaming, they never kept their boxes with their games, in the early 2000s. Okay. And so I would go in and I'd buy the boxes for like $1.
That's great. And were they new? Were the boxes new? They probably, as soon as they got them, they called you or something?
No, it was like when somebody would trade in their stuff, their collection.
Oh, that's nice.
They're like, oh, we're not keeping the boxes with them. So we'll
How many boxes? How many boxes do you think you pulled out of them?
Probably 40, 50 boxes, NES boxes. Awesome. But that was because I was an NES collector. I wasn't like, I'm going to collect Genesis. I'm going to collect this. And I was only going after NES stuff out there. When you're younger, you got a budget and you're like, I got to stay focused on this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So getting those relationships was key back in the day. I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Rad Workshop. Always has great questions. Great guest. Appreciate that. There are so many good guests that would be fun to hear from. Braveheart should be listening. Has been mentioned. Dream TR, I agree. Would be a good one.
I bet we could get Jason on here.
Yeah, Josh, that's on your list to get there. Jason.
That would be fun. Hey, nice recommendation. I would like to get Jason on here. If you're not familiar with who Jason is, he's kind of the internet lore of the video game collector who collected every console and every game complete in box if he could do it. He worked for what was that magazine?
Funko or
no, I can't even think right now. Tips and Tricks magazine for a while, but he's kind of the OG of getting shit done and getting collectibles before it was cool to do.
Yeah,
right. He's early.
And if you wanted a game,
real early, like
there were other people, but for NES and Nintendo, it was Jason, man.
You
want to know where all the gold NWCs came from? That dude.
He's the one who had like more than 5 at one point.
Yeah.
Pure legend when it comes to gold.
That's neat.
NES cards.
Yeah, that's insanity.
He saw the list first in Nintendo Power, and he went out and tracked him down best he could. So it would be really cool to have him on here. He has a arcade in Tennessee, Smyrna, Tennessee, I believe.
That's great.
What is it called? Game Galaxy, Matt? Isn't that it?
Oh, I haven't heard the name in forever. It was massive.
Yeah, but he has an eBay store, or eBay listing. Sometimes he'll put Famicom protos up for like $200.
Nice.
I mean, the dude's got good stuff. He sells through his stuff, but he always buys stuff back. Jason's a G, a nice guy, good collector. Been around a long time. I admire him quite a bit. So that's a great suggestion. I'd love to have Dream TR. As far as Eric, I'd love to have Eric on too, but he just doesn't seem to care anymore. So hopefully he hears this.
I think he sold all of his games and he's out. He's done with.
Sounds about right. Finished that Playtronic set, so he moved on. Okay, all right. So I'll read this one if I can see it. I feel like I might need to get glasses, guys.
Yeah, you're at that point.
Another good show and a great interview. If they don't talk about Halo 4 values, I swear I'll burn the building to the ground.
What?
Wait, where are the Halo 4 values at, Matt? What are we at?
If they don't talk about, oh man, have I? It was so much easier to talk about Halo 4 values.
When there was one selling every freaking week on.
Not so much that when we had gamer stocks and I could pull up my stock charts. We could get into. Man, we could get into the deeper demographics of it if we still had that and just do stock trading with Halo 4 and that'd be a lot of fun. Are we in an uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? Are we, bottom or, drop base rally? What are we doing with it? So
2025 will bring it back. Okay. You heard it here first.
I'm going to make a note. I appreciate that comment a lot.
While you're doing that, I can read the next one because I know what it's speaking to. I think Matt was confusing Office Space with The Office. So I did hear that as well. It happened in the last conversation. I don't know. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, you need to see The Office. It's decent. It's top 3 sitcom of all time.
There's a jump to conclusions, Matt. Not a person, but a actual Matt. Anyways, you missed my mom there, Tony. So I'll just read what she's had to say here. This was an amazing interview.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing everything you have, Lloyd. And thanks for the interview, Matt, Josh. Thanks, Mom. You're a real sweetheart there, Henry.
I did skip that one, didn't I?
Yeah, that's okay. On purpose.
I just tried to move my mouse down to scroll down. I have a card. I don't. We could save this for the end. It's important. It came
Oh,
from some big time fans of you too.
oh,
I let a few people that really are huge fans of you know that I was coming on, and they wanted to put a nice little letter together for you. So I want to read it after all this.
Yeah, let me scroll down. We only
Yeah.
got a couple more. Blackbuster, thank you for your service, sir. He is talking to Lloyd, who is in the service still currently. Thank you, Lloyd. Again.
I was talking about me. It's his mom.
Wow.
Oh man. Um, yeah. Okay. I wasn't going to say anything about being late there, so I'll just move on.
Yep. 1999 was my favorite year. Super nostalgic about it. Your parents sound super cool. Good for them. Talking about Lloyd's parents, they did sound super cool.
99 was a pretty good year, man.
It was. It was. It was a little crazy. I wouldn't want to raise my kids in gangster rap if I had the choice, but that's what we did. Yeah. That's what we had to do.
You're at what was that band? Spice One, right? They're pretty good.
What was Jason's last name? I was making notes.
Jason Wilson?
Yeah,
Which
Gold Cart.
Jason are we talking about? There are a
Jason
bunch of
Gold
Jason.
Cart.
Dream TR.
Jason, yeah, Jason Wilson.
Yeah.
The old good old JW.
I'm just making notes of.
Now, I mentioned earlier that you can't take these games with you when you go. I mean, I would probably take the NWC Golds to the grave with me.
Just bury them with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Pockets.
Dude, in like 400 years, they're going to exhume your grave and take the cards out because they're such a piece.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd have some grave robbing situations.
It'd be like Altered Beast out of that bitch.
Yeah. So, yeah. Which I'm okay with,
Yeah.
And for a note for future, just in case anybody's tracking, we did mention Halo twice this episode. I was going to throw in a third time.
I was really trying to get it out early, and we did,
so,
but I had to circle back to that piece of garbage.
We are 109 for 109, actually like 110. I think this is episode 110. Tony, what do you got for wins? I think I have a feeling you have some wins.
Yeah.
You got a Halo 4 you picked up?
No.
I think it's in a rally mode.
No. Right, this here, nice little box. Right?
I love it. Yeah,
that's see that? It. All right, let's open it up and see what's in it. These are serial numbered Christmas cards from Josh's wife.
Wow.
They're all Christmas vacation themed. Bingo.
Wow.
They're pretty amazing.
That's a honey of a tree, Clark.
I love it.
They're beautiful. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Shitter was full. Why not? Let's get that better in there. There he is.
I didn't realize she was making cards like that.
Yeah, they're fun. This is my favorite. It was an ugly tree. Anyways. Now that's I like this one. I'm a big Seinfeld guy. Just seen Elaine there. Why is the carpet all wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot. Remember that? Beautiful. Those are great. Well done.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, that's one.
All
right, here, dude. I got to show you guys.
I got to interrupt you here right now because that's amazing. I didn't expect anything out of me putting that in my Instagram story, but you bought this stuff, and I'll tell you what that made my wife very happy. You were literally we put the website up and put the cards on there, and I put it on the story. You're the first order. It was awesome. She's like, somebody ordered some cards, and I'm like, she's like, do you know Tony? I'm like, oh, Tony ordered some cards. That's great. So really.
Yeah, did you told her how fast I can run? I'm a fast runner. All right, here we go. All right, so I got 3 pieces of original art for you. All right, 3 pieces of original art that have never seen public eyes. All right, I have tried to pivot into original art a little bit. Aside from all the love of video games and arcade especially, my wife and I like to put fun stuff up on the walls. So I've transitioned here. So these are all from Bally Midway from like the mid to late 80s. So this is like color comp. of a game called Power Drive that I've never played, but this is such a beautiful, so like nostalgic for me, that monster
Oh
truck.
man, it looks like it's that Bigfoot monster truck.
Yeah.
That.
All right. These are the two. I'm gonna come with the two big ones. Okay. So
Holy shit.
yeah, this is awesome. So they ended up going with that green, and they were toying with the idea of yellow on this side. And can you see it good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty amazing. I'm in the process of getting this stuff framed and figuring that whole thing out. I have about 13 things that I bought from this little collection of Valley Midway stuff. And I first started by going to like secondhand shops to see if I could, measured all my art and see if I could find something that would work with matting for the stuff that's maybe a little bit cheaper. And then with this one, with that tapper, I'm gonna, or I ordered a frame online and got it all dialed in, got acid free, everything's acid free so it doesn't damage it. But this might be my favorite thing in the whole collection right here.
That's right. I remember this.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get in. First, we're gonna back it up. Is that a good view to see the whole thing?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so this was like a mock-up of the Spy Hunter cabinet, and it's of all the ones that they did a lot of them. This one was unlike any of the others, and they didn't end up using this, but it was very unique, and I just think that's super rad. I think arcade art is the coolest thing ever. I have a huge collection of like sci-fi themed arcade marquees that I love, and so that's a big deal. That stuff's a big deal for me. One more thing.
I dig the cat paw print on there too.
Yes. Yes, I told Matt while you were going to the bathroom that my second cat that came in jumped up onto the table behind me and was walking across this original art. And I was panicking. And that's why I left the room at one point. But we made it. We're here. All right. So this is the last thing that I'll show you, but this is probably like the most games I'll ever sell, like on eBay. They're all like up in there on the first and second shelf. There's quite a few. I'll show you like one or two of them. Let's see, how's that look? Is that still good?
Yep, yeah, still good.
All right, so I'll pull a few out that I think are cool. Yeah, these two are so awesome, man. All right, so let's see here. God Hand 988++. It's hard to do it with the glare. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
988++. It's the only one that I know of that exists, but I found this at PRGE when I came to visit you guys, and you guys know that, and that's a huge victory. Might help cover the cost of my trip, which would be ideal because I want to come back. All right. I got this on Heritage, man, and this is a 94A+ Wildcats. There aren't many of these, and like this is one that I think I have to sell, but if I could hold it, I would. But I have to you got to make moves sometimes and thin things out. But I think it's awesome. It's just a cool title.
Yeah.
Is this yours?
No, it's not. But you see, it's a Playmates game, right? So,
okay.
Fun fact that I have, and anybody that collects this stuff, like the prototype and mock-up boxes, the Playmates made a mock-up box for every game they have. So, well, Interplay did too, JVC did as well. But I have saved searches for all of these items, just regular, like Wildcat save search. And I look at every single copy of all these games that come up for sale to see if somebody somehow has one of these mock-up boxes with their games. So that's on my list. So
have you acquired some? You're saying some have popped up and you've gotten them?
Yeah. Yep.
You're a grinder, man.
Yeah. Another dude does it.
The depth of the dungeon that you were in, like as a wizard, just it's insane.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day to see some of them. So some of them I don't know if they exist or not.
All right.
That's one of them I'm waiting for.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to let that one go. There's quite a few games, some neat stuff there. That's all my recent stuff, I guess. I got something big coming on Monday. Can I talk about that and get your opinion?
You got to come back on the show next week, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll
Fair enough. It's a good one. It's can I tell you about it?
Yeah, you can tell it.
Pixar didn't happen.
Sonic 1 Game Gear 948 Plus.
That's a good game.
What do I don't know anything about. I haven't been in the hobby long enough to know how many there are above a 908 or like a 928 plus. Like there can't be many of those out there. And there's address nuances with even with the Game Gear copy, right?
Yep, there's a first print versus a later print on it. I think there's 3 prints actually for Sonic 1.
I know somebody who would know that could come on the show and talk about it.
That'd be nice.
Because he is Game Gear aficionado.
Oh yeah, his name is Braveheart 69. Because 70 was taken.
That's a game that I'm struggling to keep and hold on to. I probably should sell it, but I'd really like to hold that one. I'm torn. That's coming in on Monday, so
yeah, let's talk about that one, Tony. I'll give you some advice.
Deal. All right. Yeah, you're the man. All right. What do you guys got?
Nothing right now because
Josh,
lost.
What do you got?
Got a dartboard. He's got a dartboard.
Yeah, play some fucking darts, man.
Tell us about that dartboard.
I got a bottle of wine down here. I got a picture of my wife when she was a kid on the shelf behind me here. So
I can like throw darts at your dartboard, like just hold it like this and just throw, and that'd be cool.
Let's try this.
Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Fail.
I bought it. I bought it. I felt like I was throwing it.
Okay, all right.
All right,
didn't work out.
I'll throw a few things out here that are a little bit off the cuff. Throw a few that I did have to grade this.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I like the DVD grading. I wanted to try it out, just see how it,
How'd you get the legacy case?
You know what's funny is I just noticed that as I was holding this up, I was like, wait a minute, this is the legacy.
Oh, maybe they only have the blisters for that size because it's a weird clam.
I just noticed that too. So, you know what's funny about that? While we're on it, I have the Goonies in the legacy case too. Oh, I'm so
What's your Goonies grade?
9.8A.
Got a snap.
It is the snap. It's the early DVD, which is why I did
So the early snap cases won't have a security on the top.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Does it say Goonies up there? Or wait, does it have a security going down the side? Does it say security?
No, no security on the side.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
So I thought that was cool, and
those are neat.
Since we do a show on VHS, I figured why not? This is near and dear to my heart. I'm sorry one more time. This meant a lot to me because, man, this was one of my favorite albums growing up, hands down, 100%.
This tells me a lot was you.
Well,
I can dig it. I mean,
I love that album.
It's funny because now that I listen to the lyrics, I was like, what was I listening to when I was younger?
Yeah.
But
anti-establishment Matt Rose over here.
We used to listen to it to get hyped for like skating the ramp and stuff. So it was adrenaline music for us.
So when I would run track and field, you get pumped up before a race. I listened to "Killing in the Name of" over and over again.
Dude, wait.
What was there was a Korn song I listened to also. It was
"Falling Into Me" or "Falling Away from Me."
Falling into you, Matt. No, it wasn't one of their.
That was like,
I can't even remember the name of the song, but it was
"Freaks in a Box."
No, the lyrics were "F you, I'm fed up with you. I'm not as good as you. No, F you, I'm better than you." Those were the lyrics. Whatever that song was, it is a pump up song, man. Divine, that was the name of the song. Divine by Korn is a real song.
I'm telling
people.
I'm telling you what, weightlifting with Rage, that was the thing. And then what's even funnier is we played that in high school. I brought in my cassette tape. I think it was like junior year or something. We put it in there. We were lifting weights during PE class. And the PE instructor, great old guy, good old military guy, comes in, doesn't say a word, just walks in, walks up to the tape player, hits eject, grabs it, walks out, throws it in the trash. And I'm just like,
he's like, did you listen to what they were saying in that song?
oh, it was the F you, I won't do what you tell me. F you, I want, just over and over. And he's just like, nope.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. I went and grabbed it out of the trash and obviously didn't play it again, but it was.
Yeah.
I love that album, man.
At least you didn't get in trouble. I mean, I respect the guy for taking care of the
No,
situation.
he wasn't that kind of.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mr. Bazell, dude was awesome. But I do have two game things. One that, speaking of Game Gear, I got it because of Agassi. But yeah, I was stoked. I was a big Agassi fan growing up.
Thought you were gonna say that from Man Crush Monday, Matt.
Oh, sorry.
Gosh.
Dude, Agassi is sexy with hair, without, whatever. Dude's awesome. And then one more I've had sitting over here forever.
How old were you? How old were you when you were aware of this, of how beautiful Agassi was? I mean,
move over in Kornikova.
Should have been more than 12, right?
No, it was sixth grade. Well, yeah, it was sixth grade. So yeah, I guess that would be 12.
Good. You knew that he had what the world needed.
Yeah. Pete Sampras didn't. Pete Sampras only got a goddamn Genesis game.
Pete was a dick. I'm sorry, but
yeah, that's why you get third-party Genesis cartridges instead of Tech Magic.
So it took me a while, and there was a long road to getting this in this grade anyway. But I did finally pull an 8.5 Akari Circle. It isn't hang tab, but it's the next best thing, I suppose. So
nothing like pulling an 8.5 Akari.
Dude, that's
a game right there, buddy.
Speaking of games we rented a lot, this game I rented a lot growing up. So out of those 50 games, this one was quite a few times.
Cool. That's cool.
Because it's one of those two-player games, and that's what we always wanted. We wanted two-player games that were fun, that we could just get down and have fun.
Do you have a sibling that's close to you in age? I can't remember.
I have a sister who's 5.5 years older.
Okay. So you're just playing with friends mainly?
Yep.
Did you guys play with your parents? Did you play any video games with your parents?
Not really.
I don't think we can talk about that on the podcast.
I didn't. No, honestly, I think my mom would try to play and I'd take the controller from her and be like, you don't know what you're doing. Right.
But that's what she said.
My parents did not play video games at all. I think maybe my mom tried once because I forced her to, but that was it.
Okay.
I played Bubble Bobble with my sister a lot. That's game, awesome. We played that so much together, and Mario. But beyond that, for video games with a sibling, that was it. We played Bubble Bobble a lot together.
She's close to you in age? What's her age difference?
She's 4 years older than me. So
okay, that's cool. That's still cool.
Yeah,
video games. I have endorsed video games so much. I have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I have just exposed them to so much problem solving and as much as I could, just all through this Nintendo Switch catalog. And before that, the Wii U catalog and stuff. Like, so good for them. You have to, it's hard to keep discipline with them when I introduce them to games like Fortnite, but all in all, I think it's good for them as long as there's some discipline, right?
There's discipline, there's learning, man. You think about like the vocabulary that your children have today, like the words they say, and and a lot of it is the problem solving that comes with the technology that exists today. And it's really fascinating to me when my kid will say something. I'm like, what did you say? Like, I didn't know what that meant when I was 15 years old.
Yeah,
what did my daughter say the other day? And it was something that I didn't think about. Like, she's like, "Oh yeah, that's how you do a voiceover." I'm like, "How do you know what a voice? Oh well, that's what they do when they make videos." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, the generation that grew up with a game like Minecraft is like a key game. It's gonna make kids a little bit smarter.
Yeah,
it's creative. It's great. All that stuff's great.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know how we got there, but are we done? Matt, you got anything else?
I think that's it, man.
Okay.
That's it. That's almost, oh yeah. I guess that's the end. What's that?
Okay. As I said, I got a group of big time fans of you guys together. It's on his wife's card, so I'll just read it. They actually wrote a note and put it inside.
Oh, we're getting served, Matt.
Did you get
this is my first time. This is my first time reading this, so let me just take a quick look, and I want to read through it. Okay, it's gonna be tough to get through this. All right, Matt and Josh, we want to take a moment to thank you for all that you've done for the hobby. Most importantly, thank you for including us. In a hobby dominated by men, you two were never afraid to give us a voice, often interrupting each other, just to let everyone know precisely. That's what she said. We are happy to give you continued permission to speak on our behalf. Sincerely, all the moms.
All of them.
Some of them signed. P.S. Please do more videos exposing your moldy package.
Ooh.
Got to get out there and wash it up.
We need to frame that now, Tony, or at least you need to frame it, and then
it's signed by a woman named Brenda, Karen, Barbara, Susan, and somebody. I can't even read this signature.
Karen,
Manchi. I don't know.
When you can win over Karen,
maybe she's Vietnamese. I don't know. Maybe you guys have Vietnamese female mothers.
I know them all, and so
that's what that's. Listen, my mom. I told her I was coming on your podcast. She said, "Tell Josh I said hello," and I didn't think it was a good idea. I didn't think it was appropriate.
No, I'm surprised. I was just gonna have her text you tomorrow morning, but that's
okay. All right. Well, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I
really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic to have you. I gotta say, I think we've mentioned it before, but I'm gonna say it publicly. We've never met Tony before. He's always been a fan. Flew clear across from Florida up to Portland Retro Gaming Expo, hung out with us all weekend. Couldn't have been a greater guy. Was just always helpful, always asking, hey, how can I help you? He was always getting us food. Dude, food was just on spot. Good food too. It was fantastic. I was like, man, we need to hire this guy every time.
I didn't cook any of it.
Dude,
it seemed like I did.
I'm telling you, I don't know what you did to that Panda Express, but Panda Express has never tasted so good. I will say. But super great guy, down to earth, a wonderful human being. Say hi to him, get to know him. Go check out Greenharegames.
PPV auctions. When's this happening? Is these going off on Monday?
Yeah, Hopper brought up the idea when I posted a question about it. When what people thought about auctions closing, or not Good Friday, Cyber Monday, and all that stuff. And he said Cyber Monday, so I'm going to throw everything up on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
In a few days, and it'll close on the following Monday.
Okay.
There's a lot of fun little stuff in there. Some stuff that I've submitted, some stuff that I've bought at auction, stuff like that. Just all kinds of little stuff.
All right. Well, we'll get out there and pimp it for you a little bit.
Peace out, guys.
Good
times. Yep. Later.
Thanks everybody for watching. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Anything that popped up in your head while you're watching it. Yeah. Right down there. You know where to leave it. Let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want to see more of. Even though we've heard it, we've heard from some of you. Keep piping it in. Let us know. We love you all. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.